Virtual reality and AR have been getting a lot of attention lately with Facebook's transition to Meta with their rebrand of their company. It put a lot of attention and a lot of spotlight on AR and VR and the future of what is, a combined metaverse. I think there's a lot of fragmentation in the metaverse world right now, at least what it means and its application. I think the most common thought on what it is right now is video games and its application to video games. But the rollout of Meta, and when we think about what Microsoft is doing, Facebook is doing, a lot of it is centered around VR's application in a workplace setting. And the future of these metaverses and virtual reality, I think, is tied into a lot about how workplaces and workforces can use this technology. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be viable for anything other than a few uses, maybe the video games and things. And so, I, for one, have been one of those individuals who've been a bit skeptical about VR, and I mean it's been around as a technology for a little while, and projecting out to say, okay, well, this is going to be widespread and adopted by everybody is one of those things where I've struggled to come around to. But seeing the story about how MGM Resorts is going to let job seekers try out roles within the organization using virtual reality has really piqued my interest. And it's changed what I think could be its application in a workplace. Meetings are definitely one place, with a dispersed workforce. You get everybody on a headset and it looks like you're in a meeting room together. I can see the application for that. But doing something where prospective employees or even maybe internships happen in a VR setting or with VR is very interesting. I think this is probably a game-changing move for MGM if it actually works. But of course, knowing what we do at Daggerfinn, what's the employer brand implications for something like this? And I think one of the things that came to mind right away, seeing that MGM was going to be using VR to let people try out different roles in an effort to reduce churn, was I thought about our credit scoring system with employer brands. What we do, and this is something that all companies can tap into. You just have to go to our website and let us know who you work for and a couple of different details, and our team will kick out a score, an aggregated score that looks at 5 or 6 different pillars that we feel are absolutely crucial when it comes to an employer brand, and let you know exactly where your company stands along those data points. But one important pillar is what we colloquially call industry sexiness. So is your industry one that's attractive to work in? So you imagine today that aerospace and those kind of places are absolutely, people are clamoring to get into places like that. I think the traditional professional services are always sexy to work in, so to speak. I mean, you think of your management consultants, your engineers, things like that. Those are all traditionally places that people do want to go work in. If you look at the other side of the equation, which are industries that need to be around but are more difficult to hire into or difficult to attract great candidates into, I feel like virtual reality and as a way to let people see what work is like could be both positive and negative. And for the purposes of this recording, I'll focus on the negatives, and it's that it's going to make those industries that are hard to recruit into, hard to attract talent to, even more difficult. Because, for example, let's take maybe a call center. It's one of those jobs that are incredibly valuable for organizations. But when people are leaving high school or going into college, coming out of college, they don't typically think, okay, I'm going to go work at a call center. It's not the sexiest place to go work. Now, giving people the opportunity to experience what it's like to work in those places before going into the jobs definitely has its positive. You're going to lower churn. I think that's definitely an application, but it's going to deter people from entering into roles where you never know. Long term, they could have grown into management. They could have grown into different places. Those entry-level roles that are typically a little bit more rote, manual work, repetitive work, that are just not always that fun to do, but are a great stepping stone to go into other places. Those kinds of roles in difficult to recruit for industries are going to be incredibly they're going to be even harder to recruit into. I think if you give people an opportunity to experience it before they kind of go into it. I mean, that's the purposes of internships. I think this there's another application where this really could actually affect internships going forward. But I'll be interested to see how, well, one, whether this takes on and whether VR as a recruiting tool to give people access into an organization is going to catch on, and then what that does for industries that are harder to recruit into, because a lot of the times people fall into these roles not by choice, more by necessity. And if you give people access to seeing behind the curtain, so to speak, will that make them even less incentivized to enter? And if that's the case, what then happens to these roles, which are crucial for the fabric of corporate America, for companies, and what are the long-term implications of VR? If you like this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on VR and its application in the workforce in the comment section below. Also, consider liking the video and also subscribing to the channel just so that you get all these updates as they come out.